Good evening, and I want to thank Bob and Tony for their introduction. You just never know what they're going to do, you know? So I really appreciate it. We do have a lot of great adventures together. In fact, Bob and I, in 2007, had this bright idea that we should go paddling every month. And we've only missed a couple of times since then. Some of those are when we show up to stick our boat in the water and the ice is that thick and we can't quite make it. Now, sometimes we show up and the ice is not quite as thick and Zach's with us. So I run the boat up on the ice and Zach jumps up and down on the boat and kind of breaks the ice a little bit so we can make it on through. But we do have a good time, and it's a lot of fun. Tony talked about his dad being a superintendent. Well, he gave me a job as a science teacher way back when and really encouraged me to become an administrator. So I really cherish the friendship from Bob and Tony and really appreciate their introduction and them being here tonight. I'd also like to thank so many of my colleagues from Missouri for being here. It's great that you're here. I appreciate all the work that you do in Missouri and your support. I want to thank members of my family for being here and coming out tonight, as well as members of our board in Melville. I really appreciate your support, and your love is always amazing. Thank you. But Bob and Tony mentioned my wife, Debbie. And many of you hear me talk about her, and that's usually when you ask me about my socks or the tie that I have on or whatever colorful, crazy shirt I may have. And that's always her doing, because if it were me, I'd probably wear the same thing every day. You remember those Ernest movies where he had the same thing? That would be me. I would just wear the same stuff over and over. So she keeps me from that. She keeps me grounded. But you all know the challenges of the superintendency and what our spouses have to endure. So thank you for putting up with the craziness of my job and supporting me in doing this. So as I look out across this group, you know, I see family and friends, a number of great colleagues, other folks that I hope to get to know over the coming year. And I know what you're thinking, because I've sat out there for a lot of years and listened to these guys give these speeches, and I know that you're going, how long is he going to talk? And I stand up in the canoe all the time because I don't like to sit down in the canoe very long. So I promise I'll keep it under an hour, okay? So as I kind of thought about and prepared for tonight and thought about what I was going to say, I kind of reflected on how I got here, which Bob kind of went through in terms of becoming a superintendent. But my AASA journey really began with a colleague just nominating me out of the blue to run for the governing board from Missouri. Wasn't really something that was on my radar, wasn't really thinking about it, but Sally Knight just really encouraged me to do it. And what an opportunity and experience it's been. Region 4 has just been a whole hoot of fun. We're awesome in Region 4 because we have Canada. Silver Dollar City to the Arctic Circle, baby. You don't get any bigger than that. Well, we had a lot of fun together, did a lot of social things together, and it really brought our group together. And through that, later on, Bob Mills, David Schuler encouraged me to run for the executive committee. And I've got to say, the two of them were just an unbelievable team leading Region 4. And I'm so fortunate and honored that I've been able to be connected with such student-centered leaders of their caliber. So thank you, Dave. But really, I really wouldn't be here today if not for the encouragement and mentorship of others. From family to friends, colleagues, they all contributed to me being here today. Their leadership mattered, and it influenced me significantly. And I would say that you probably have a similar story. This room is filled with the past of AASA, the present, and the future of AASA. We learn from those who went before us, and we pass that knowledge on to those who come after. Over our careers, our roles change from being mentored to being the mentor. And we help those new superintendents because that's our duty. And AASA recognizes that as part of our mission, one of advocacy, leadership development, and equity. And I would posit that we, as an industry, are in the people development business. Our work involves developing young children into educated, self-reliant, and productive young adults. And to do so, we need the best people we can find. Leaders matter. Whether it's in a classroom, the principal's office, or the district office, we need great leaders. And I see a lot in this room today. The teacher leaders of today will be the building leaders and the district leaders of tomorrow. But today, it's your leadership that matters. And you're doing just awesome, wonderful things for kids. All you got to do is look at Twitter or superintendent blogs to see what's happening out there. The nation's superintendents, our members, AASA members, are engaged at unprecedented levels. Over 30 districts involved in AASA's efforts to expand access to school breakfast. More than 20 districts re-envisioning how professional development can look. Over 50 districts involved in digital conversions, nearly that number working towards personalized learning, and the list goes on. As more leaders engage, learn, and lead, we see amazing transformations happening. AASA's leadership is, quite frankly, transforming education across America. For too many years, we've been wrapped up in test scores, but we've seen the work that you're doing. I've heard you talk about your districts, and test scores don't come up. The conversation is around meeting the needs of our students. It's funding, it's school safety, it's working with your community and your boards, it's challenging the status quo, it's equity, it's early childhood education, it's incorporating STEAM, moving to more digital environments, personalizing learning. And at the heart of that are leaders, the leaders in this room and the leaders across the country. Your leadership matters. So on your Hill visits today, I hope you shared that work with our elected officials. I think they want us to be better. Policymakers want us to be better. But are they prepared for us to get different to become better? Too many policymakers think that school still looks like desks and chairs and rows. And I would guess that you probably met with a senator, a congressman, or a staffer today who thinks just that. And if you did, it's our fault. We've got to get them into our classrooms and our schools. They've got to understand what we do. Dan said we got yelled at. That young lady didn't have a clue what happens in a school on a daily basis and the burdens they're placing on us. Policy makers must understand that the kids in the video, the kids that you have in your schools, are more than just a test score. They need to realize that the health and well-being of our kids is much more important. And we've got to make that happen. It's up to us. You guys are transforming what teaching and learning looks like. Your schools are changing, and much for the better. We've got to celebrate that work and get those policymakers to understand that we are not the schools they think we are. Your leadership on this matters. It matters in your district, it matters in your community, it matters in your state, and it matters on Capitol Hill. It's hard work changing perception, but I believe we can do it. I believe it because I hear the passion when you talk about the work you're doing. I believe it because you're here advocating for policies that move us forward, not bind our hands. I believe it because I see what superintendents post on social media. Our members are engaged, they're learning together, and they're leading their districts and communities to a better future. Let's make sure we're telling the world what we're doing. We've got a lot to celebrate. So, Bob and Tony talked about our scouting and that it brought us together. Those ideals of scouting, the Scout Oath and Law, help shape and mold us, and they keep us connected. Our ties of brotherhood are binding. The Boy Scout Oath starts out with, on my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country. I'll do my best for you and the other superintendents across this country. I appreciate the opportunity to serve as your president this year. Thank you.